Hey everybody, Mike Giardina with CrossFit Health. We're here at the 2022 CrossFit Games, and I have some very special guests with me, Miss Athena Perez and Dr. Amy West. We did a panel yesterday on working with larger-bodied athletes, and we really dug into the why behind the course that they created. And what I'd really love to do today in this interview is talk about what is actually in the course, some of the modules, and how did they land on this specific material. The course is a 1-day, 8-hour course, so they were able to put a lot of information and experience into these 8 hours. So we'll dig into that stuff. But before we do, we'll do some introductions here. Athena, can you tell us a little bit about your background, your CrossFit experience, and some of the cool things that you've done in the CrossFit community?
Sure. I was like, where do I start? Started CrossFit about 5 years ago. Ended up having my story on the journal, and that turned into a couple stories.
Yeah.
There's been the level 1, there's been the level 2. Scale Nation, which is my affiliate, launched during COVID. So the middle of 20, and it's going strong. And then the course, working with larger bodies, just made it through its first couple betas, and then we have our first live course in Austin in September.
Love it. Super excited about that.
Yeah,
It's been
thank
great.
you.
So I am a sports medicine and rehabilitation physician. I've been involved in CrossFit probably about 10 years at this point. I've worked with CrossFit Health for quite some time since its inception. Basically here to support Athena. This course is all her brainchild. I'm just here to help her out and add my expertise. But yeah.
Awesome. Really cool. So tell me about the course. I know we went into this a little bit yesterday, but briefly describe why you developed this course for the CrossFit community.
So a lot of the reason for the course just came from a lot of those experiences were mine.
Yeah.
They were also shared with just so many of the LBA community that I was talking to, a lot of the LBA coaches. And when the We Belong page got started, and of course we started seeing those gaps, the funny thing about those gaps is that they were all common.
Yep.
And so, it was
Common in terms of they all experience similar.
very similar, right?
Yeah.
All these little veins were very similar. And so when you start talking to enough, you're like, okay, we need to do something. And it's like, where can we fill these gaps the best way so that coaches understand? Maybe if you just had visibility to a few things, it might
Sure.
change how you approach or talk to your athletes. So,
Yeah.
So
That's great.
Yeah.
So having visibility to these things, and then effective means of communication as well, right? It seems like.
I think a lot of the athletes think of it like, they'll hear their coach say something and it's taken very personal.
Sure. Yeah.
Because it is personal, right?
Yeah. Of course.
But I think just having the coach have visibility to these things will hopefully change how they're talking to the athlete.
Exactly. Yeah.
And again, you can't change how somebody's going to take something.
Right.
But some of the stuff that we do share with the athletes too, that it's a 50-50 thing.
Yeah.
There's personal accountability and personal responsibility, and then there's, hey, let's get the coach up to speed and see if we can meet in the middle.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that brings me to another question. Is this strictly for coaches, or would this course be suitable for coaches, but then also larger-bodied athletes that want to learn more about this material as well?
Initially, we developed it for coaches and
Yeah.
affiliate owners. It was
Makes
really
sense.
directed
Yeah.
at them. But we've had LBAs take the beta courses.
Okay,
And a lot of LBAs walked out and said, that was really validating for me.
great.
Like, now I know I wasn't crazy,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
And these things make sense. But also, some of the biggest feedback that they gave us walking out of there was, now I know how to help myself better in the box. Like,
That's big.
I don't need the coach necessarily to handhold me during these times. Now I know what I can be doing. And so I wasn't expecting that to come out of it, but why wouldn't it?
Yeah, no, I think it's interesting because with the level one, what we have found is the level one's geared towards coaches.
Yeah.
But there are people that come in that are just members of the gym. And what happens when those members come in is they end up being some of your strongest members in your gym, even if they never coach, right? So there is something empowering about just going through it and learning a little bit about yourself, and like you said, having some validation, and then also, like you said, being able to almost to some extent coach yourself as well as when you're in the box, right? So that's really cool. I really loved the demonstration that you all offered. My favorite demonstration was the burpee demonstration. I don't know why, I loved that. That was great because it was like we had an interesting question about it. It was, how do you do that in with the rest of the class? And it was like, it's simple because we all do that. It was like an inchworm, a cobra into a
Cobra, down dog, inchworm.
It was like, I do those all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's very easy to throw that in there and offer some level of assessment as well as a warm-up for the entire class. And not to mention, even anybody going through that can be assessed. You can assess range of motion, the shoulders and the hips. Like it's the way that you were able to structure that to get multiple results from, assessment results from the coach was really cool. I thought that was amazing.
So one of the reasons that we do that in the course is because we want to try and do those assessments, especially if it's somebody that's larger body that is just walking into the gym for the first time, because you don't know.
Yeah.
It's like we tell people don't make assumptions, but in this particular case, we want coaches to assume that they can't. Let's see them do it first.
Sure.
And if you take them through these movements, it can be done in a very quiet way, where it doesn't send off any alarms that somebody is getting assessed. It's something, these activities aren't sending off any warning bells that anybody is getting singled out for any reason.
Exactly.
And it could just be a very unsuspecting warm-up.
That was cool.
Yeah.
I really
What's
liked
really
it.
important about that demonstration is that it allows people to get off the floor without using their knees or putting a lot of pressure on their knees.
Yeah.
So in the LBA community, there are certain high incidence of knee issues.
Yeah.
So every 10 pounds on your body is about 40 pounds of pressure on your knees.
Yeah.
And that when you do any ballistic movement, running, etc., that increases, could be up to 10 times the amount of pressure on your knees. So there are high incidence of knee injuries, things like meniscal tears, arthritis, artificial joints, things like that. So it's really important that coaches understand how to be able to get someone off the floor who can't necessarily put pressure on their knees or has discomfort when doing that.
Yeah, that was a great demonstration. And in fact, I think we had 4 demo athletes, is that right? And 3 out of the 4 had some knee issues. Yeah, so that was cool. Okay, let's go into the course a little bit. So tell me a little bit about, can you list out the modules or sections within those 8 hours?
I was like, okay, so the first hour, we talk about obesity awareness.
Okay.
And language. We talk about what we call are the roots of obesity.
Okay.
There's a lot of them, but we kind of narrowed it down to what people are going to see the most commonly. The second module, we'll call them modules, right? Second module is what we call a relating activity.
Yeah.
And there's different movements that we ask people to do, and there's actually this thing that we have people wear to kind of help them understand what movement feels like for somebody that's larger. Not because we want coaches to feel sorry for somebody. It's more about having them understand what that movement feels like. So when they're cueing and they're coaching, maybe that will, ping there like, oh, right. That's why they don't like doing that, or hey, I might have to change that up a little bit. And then from there we call a module, I'm trying to remember the order of the course.
Throw you on the spot, yeah.
The next one is it's called Lived Experience and Social Climate. So in that one we talk about what people are really going to be bringing to the box based on what their experience is out there.
Okay.
Because everything may be amazing in the box,
Right.
but sometimes it's not amazing out there.
Sure.
There's a lot of challenges, and that mindset, things we're thinking, things we're saying, there's a reason where those come from. And so
Okay.
we want coaches to have a little visibility to that. Again, more so that when it does get to the point where there is that talk,
Yep.
that the coaches can help walk them through that.
That's cool.
So, and then the next one we talk about the larger body.
Okay.
So we really kind of get into the nuts and bolts of this is what somebody is going to experience. They're going to have this.
Is it general? Is it movement specific? A little bit of both?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
So, like for instance, we start off talking about just larger bodies don't fit into a single bucket.
Right.
So we try to help people understand when they come in the box, they may be, you have your adaptive athletes. And they fit into very, very specific types of adaptive athletes,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
And they go through this in the course. Masters falls into
Right.
age buckets,
Age categories.
right?
Sure.
So when we're talking about the larger body, what we want people to understand is that there isn't a perfect bucket,
Yeah.
because one, you never know what you're going to get. You could have somebody come into the box that's extremely deconditioned and walked into the box on 2 canes like I did, right?
Yeah.
Or you could have a larger body come in and could be flexible as all get
Right.
it, like you just don't know.
Yeah.
So, or you could have a larger body come in and could be adaptive and a masters and LBA and
Right.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
So we cover that, and we encourage our attendees to take the master's course, to take the adaptive course, because that's how these things are going to come together.
That's cool.
And then we get into a pretty big movement block in the afternoon. And what we do is we try to stay away from the 9 foundational movements of CrossFit, because CrossFit already does that
Right.
amazing. We don't have to redo that. And CrossFit has done all the progressions and breakdowns of those movements. Where coaches have trouble and where they tend to freeze is every other thing
There's so many
that we
outside those
do
nine.
in a box.
Yeah.
We do jump ropes, we do
Yeah.
push-ups, we do sit-ups, we do all these gymnastics movements
Yeah.
that are not part of the 9 foundational.
Right.
That's where coaches have trouble.
Okay. That's
So we
cool.
talk about machines, we talk about the bikes, we show people like, hey, there's a right way and a wrong way to get on those bikes if you're bigger,
Yeah.
right? And so we kind of get the coaches visible with like, hey, think about how they're going to get on this and get off safely. So we go through bikes, rowers, all of the traditional, the bands, and we help people understand like there's a weight limit for everything. And a lot of coaches don't realize there is a weight limit on everything, even a band
Yeah, for
that
sure.
you put somebody on to hang from the rig. Most coaches wouldn't know that that's got a 225 pound,
Yeah.
like a lot of the men weigh more than that.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
So when you think about it like that, you're like, well,
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
I think what's really important is that this course serves to help coaches create a dialogue with the LBA community, for the LBA community to feel comfortable walking into a box.
Yeah.
It's really a way of delivering healthcare to these people. So
Absolutely.
it's very important that the coaches are able to make the LBA community feel comfortable in the gym, and then also help them on their fitness journey.
No, I mean that's what seems to be like such a big takeaway for the coach. It's just, and I took this away yesterday. It's just a better understanding of the LBA community and the experiences that they go through when they're in the gym, which provides some level of like, okay, here's some considerations that I should be thinking about, but also how I should be communicating, right? In order to, just like we said, keep them in the gym, provide this level of, it is healthcare, it's not sick care. Like,
Yeah.
so what we do is healthcare. We're trying to keep people healthy, get them healthy. Provide this level of healthcare and keep them in the gym for long periods of time. Like, I think it's such a needed course that you're putting out there, and I don't know, I'm super excited for it. Well, let's continue on. So what other modules do we have?
that was pretty much the last one, because
Okay.
that takes up a good almost 3 hours. And so we're not just breaking down equipment and machines, we're also talking about all of the common areas where we don't want to say every LBA,
Right, of course.
but where you're going to see it the most common.
Okay.
And so we take all of the most common movements that we do in a CrossFit box.
Yeah.
And we break it down.
I
And we
love
show
that.
people, here's where the trouble spots are going to be. For instance, like on a squat, they're going to bottom out, especially if they carry their weight in the back or the front. At some point, they're going to get to their low.
Their depth.
Their depths, right?
Yeah.
And so do we want coaches always striving for virtuosity in a movement? Yeah. But if you look at their body and you're really looking at their body, they will bottom out.
Yeah.
And that is their squat depth.
That's the
And
depth.
exactly, we want to meet athletes where they're at right now.
Right.
Is it if it's their goal to have their body change, and as they get smaller, will that depth change? Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Exactly. I think we talked about that yesterday. It's assessment of what is the best position I get you in right now, and that's what we're striving for, and that is our level of virtuosity for today, right? I think that's a really important message to come from the course. How is it structured? Is it similar to a lot of the other courses where it's lecture, we'll call them breakouts,
Yeah.
breakout movements, lecture, breakout movement, lecture, breakout movement? Is there a lot of back and forth within there?
there is a lot of back and forth now.
Yeah,
Initially, we had it, again, you don't know what you don't know, right?
of course.
We initially had it where it was most of the learning lecture type in the front end and then movement on the back end,
Okay.
and that bond.
Yeah.
And you can't have people sitting down
I
that
know,
long. It
it's
doesn't matter
tough.
how old they are. Like,
It's tough.
so yeah, we kind of went to the traditional course, like you're down for the first hour, and then you're up, and then you're down, and then you're up, and you're down.
That's
You're
right.
pretty much throughout the
Yeah.
entire day.
That's cool. How long have you been developing this course?
Yeah, probably for the better part of 2 years.
That's amazing. So you've really narrowed it down into
Yeah.
something very effective. It's taken 2 years to get to that point.
Yeah.
And you've done some betas and you've got some feedback.
Yeah.
So it's been in development and it's ready to launch. And it's taken some time to get to the point where.
Well,
we got here.
I think it's gonna constantly evolve.
Of course.
Because I think you're gonna get really amazing constructive feedback from every single one that you do.
Yeah, for sure.
Do I think that it's going to be tweaking for a while? Yeah,
Like
probably.
anything.
Probably.
Like any first product,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You put it out there, it's great, but it's going to get better.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. That's just the way these things tend to work. That's awesome. So first one to the public launches September,
September.
but
9th.
you have other ones lined up.
Yeah.
And where are those going to be?
Right now we have Austin, Texas is in September. That's the first one. And then we have Campbell, California in
Okay.
October. We have Newark, Ohio, November. Towards the middle of November, there is it's about a 10-day, 10-day, 5 different boxes, I think, tour in Brazil.
Oh, that's cool.
And then Dublin is in January. So that's what we have so far. So
There's some traveling.
yeah,
Some traveling going on.
Yeah,
It's going to be fun, though.
I had no idea how
Yeah.
much traveling I was going to do.
That's going to be
We should
cool.
just do a course. We should.
Yeah. And so have they been reaching out to you? Oh, that is great.
Yeah.
That is great. So it's already gaining some steam here and some popularity, and just through betas alone.
Just through betas. Yeah.
When you get launched this to the public, yeah, this is going to be great. I'm so excited that you guys are doing this.
Thank you.
It's going to be a successful course, and it's definitely needed in the CrossFit community. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
As a coach, the worst things that someone can say about you is either that you injured them or you embarrassed them or
Yeah.
made them feel unwelcome. So this course serves to prevent that from happening, and also provides coaches with the tools they need. That if myself as a healthcare provider want to send someone to a box, someone who probably needs it more than other people,
Yeah.
that I can feel comfortable sending them, knowing that they're going to be treated well and prevent any injuries or anything like that.
It's super important. Super important. So, Amy, will you be traveling in these courses as well, or just supporting the courses?
I'm supporting from afar, but I might make a few
few stops?
trips.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. Really cool. Well, thank you both for being here. Thank you both for taking your time out of working the games and viewing the games. And yeah, you spent time with us yesterday too, so we're always appreciative of it. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.